The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 3, Section 4. The influence of Indian spiritual thoughts in England. The Swami Vivekananda presided over a meeting at which the Sister Nivedita, that is Miss M. E. Noble, delivered a lecture on the influence of Indian spiritual thoughts in England on 11th March 1898 at the Star Theatre, Calcutta. Swami Vivekananda on rising to introduce Miss Noble spoke as following. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was traveling to the eastern part of Asia, one thing special struck me, that is a prevalence of Indian spiritual thoughts in Eastern Asiatic countries. You may imagine the surprise with which I noticed the writings on the walls of Chinese and Japanese temples. Some were well known Sanskrit mantras, and possibly it will please you all to that more to know that they were all written in old Bengali characters. Standing even in the present day has a monument of the missionary energy and zeal displaced by our forefathers of Bengal. Apart from these Asiatic countries, the work of India's spiritual thoughts is so widespread and unmistakable that even in the Western countries, going deep below the surface, I found traces of the same influence still present. It has now become a historical fact that the spiritual ideas of the Indian people traveled towards both the East and West in the days gone by. Everybody knows now how much the world owes to Indian spirituality and what a potent factor is the present and the past humanity have been in the spiritual power of India. These are things of the past. I find another most remarkable phenomena, and that is that the most stupendous power of civilization and progress towards humanity and social progress have been affected by the wonderful races. I mean the Anglo Saxon. I may go further and tell you that had it not been for the power of Anglo-Saxon, we should have we should not have met here today to discuss, as we are doing the influence of the Indian spiritual thoughts. And coming back to our country, coming from the west to the east, I see same Anglo-Saxon powers working here with all their defects but retaining their peculiarly characteristic good features, and I believe that at last the grand result is achieved. The British idea of expansion and progress is forcing us up, and let us remember that the civilization of the West has been drawn from the foundation of the Greeks, and the great idea of Greek civilization is that of expression. In India, we think, but unfortunately, sometimes we think so deeply that there is no power left for expression. Gradually, therefore, it came to pass that our force of expression did not manifest itself before the world. And what is the result of that? The result is this: we worked to hide everything we had. It began first with individuals has the faculty of hiding, and it ended by becoming a national habit of hiding. There is such a lack of expressions with us that we are now considered a dead nation. Without expressions, how can we live? The backbone of the Western civilization is expansion and expression. This side of the work of the Anglo-Saxon race in India, to which I draw your attention, is calculated to rouse our nation once more to express itself, and it is inciting it to bring out its hidden treasures before the world by using the means of communication provided by the same mighty race. The Anglo-Saxon have created a future for India, and the space through which our ancestral idea are now ranging in simple phenomenal. What great facilities had our forefathers when they delivered their message of truth and salvation? And how did the great Buddha preach the noble doctrine of the universal brotherhood? There were even then great facilities here in our beloved India for the attainment of real happiness, and we could easily send our ideas from one end of the world to the other. Now we have reached even the Anglo-Saxon race. This is a kind of interaction now going on, and we find that our message is heard, and not only heard but is being responded to. Already England has given us some of her great intellect to help us in our missionary or in a mission. Everyone has heard and is perhaps familiar with his friend Miss Muller, who is now here on this platform. This lady, born of a very good family and we educated and well educated, and has been her whole life to us out of love for India, and has made India her home and her family. Every one of you is familiar with the name of that noble and distinguished Englishwoman who has also given her whole life to work for the good of India and India's regeneration. I mean, Mrs. Basant. Today, we met on the platform two ladies from America who have the same mission in their hearts, and I can assure you that they also are willing to devote their lives to do the least good of our poor country. I take this opportunity of reminding you of the name of the one of our countrymen, one who has seen England and America, one in whom I have a great confidence and whom I respect and love, and who would have been present here but for the arrangement elsewhere, a man working steady and silently for the good of our country, a man of a great spirituality. I mean, Mr. Mohini Mohan Chatterjee. And now England has sent us another gift in Miss Margaret Noble, from whom we expect much. Without any more word of mine, I introduce to you Miss Noble, who will now address you. After Sister Nivedita had finished her interesting lecture, Swami rose and said, I have only a few words to say. We have an idea that we Indians can do something, and among us, the Indians, we Bengalis may laugh at this idea, but I do not. My mission in life is to rouse a struggle in you. Whether you are the Advaitin, whether you are qualified monist or dualist, it does not matter much. But let me draw your attention to one thing which unfortunately we always forget. O man, have faith in yourself. That is the way by which we can have faith in God. Whether you are an Dvaitis or Advaitis or dualist, whether you are a believer in the system of yoga or a believer in the Shankaracharya, whether you are a follower of Vyas or Vishwamitra, it does not matter much. But the thing is that on this point, Indian thought differs from that of all the rest of the world. Let us remind you, for remember for a moment that whereas Whereas in every other religion and in every other country, the power of soul is entirely ignored. The soul is thought of the almost powerless, weak, and inert. We in India consider the soul to be eternal and hold that will remain perfect through all eternity. We should always bear in mind the teachings of Upanishad. Remember, you are a great mission in life. We Indians, and especially those of Bengal, have been invaded by a vast amount of foreign ideas that are eating into the very vital of our national religion. Why are we so backward nowadays? Why are 99% of us made up of entirely foreign ideas and elements? This has to be thrown out if we want to rise in the scale of the nation. If we want to learn from the West, we should learn from the West her art and her science. From the West, we have to learn the science of physical nature, while on the other hand, the West has to come to us to learn and estimate religion and spiritual knowledge. We Hindus must believe that we are the teachers of the world and we have been clamorous here for getting political rights and many other such things very well. Right and privileges and others things can only come from friendship, and friendship can only come between or can be expected between two equals. When one party is a beggar, what friendship can there be? It is all very well to speak so, but I say that without mutual cooperation, we can never make ourselves strong men. So I must call upon you to go out of England and America, not as beggars but the teachers of religion. The law of exchange must be applied to the best of our powers. If we have to learn from them the ways and the methods of making ourselves happy in the life, why in the return should we not give them the methods and the ways that would make them happy for all eternity? Above all, work for the good humanity. Give up the so called boost of your narrow orthodox life. Death is waiting for everyone, and mark you this the most marvelous historical fact that all the nations of the world have to sit down patiently at the feet of India to learn the eternal truth embodied in her literature. India's India dies not, China dies not, Japan dies not. Therefore, we must always remember that our backbone is spirituality, and to do that, we must have a guide who will show the path to us, that path about which I am talking just now. If any of you do not believe it, if there be a Hindu boy among us who is not ready to believe in that religion, is pure spirituality, and do not call him a Hindu. I remember in one of the villages of Kashmir, while talking to an old Mohammedan lady, I asked her in the mild voice, "What religion is yours?" She replied to in her own language, praising, "Praise the Lord. By the mercy of Lord, I am Mussalman." And then I asked, and then I asked a Hindu, "What is your religion?" He plainly replied, "I am Hindu." I remembered that grand word on the Katha Upanishad, Shraddha, or marvelous faith. An instant of Shraddha can be found in the life of Nachiket. To preach the doctrine of Shraddha and genius faith is the mission of my life. Let me repeat to you that this faith is one of the potent factor of humanity and of all religion. First, have faith in yourself. Know that though one may be a little bubble and another may be the mountain high wave, yet behind both the bubble and wave there is an infinite ocean. Therefore there is hope for everyone. There is salvation for everyone. Everyone must sooner or later get rid of the bond of Maya. This is the first thing comes to us. This is the first thing to do. Infinite hope begets infinite aspiration. If that faith comes to us, it will bring back our national life as it was in the days of Vyas and Arjunas, the days when all the sublime doctrines of humanity were preached. Today we are far behindhand in spiritual sights and spiritual thoughts. India has plenty of spirituality, so much so that the existing race of the world, so much so that her spiritual greatness made India the greatest nation of the greatest nation of the then existing race of the world. And if tradition and hope are to be believed, those days will come back once more to us, and that depends upon you. You, the young men of Bengal, do not look up to the rich and great as for the money, who have money. The poor did all the great and gigantic work of the world. You poor men of Bengal, come up. You can do everything and you must do everything. Many will follow your example. Poor though you are, be steady, and above all, be pure and sincere to the backbone. Have faith in your destiny. You young men of Bengal are to work out of salvation of India. Mark that, whether you believe it or not. Do not think that it will be done today or tomorrow. I believe in it as I believe in all in my own body and my own soul. Therefore, my heart goes to you, young man of Bengal. It depends upon you who have no money because you are poor. Therefore, you will work because you have nothing. Therefore, you will be sincere. Because you are sincere, you will be ready to renounce all. That is what I am just now telling you. Once more, I repeat this to you. This is your mission in life. This is my mission in life. I do not care what philosophy you take up. I do not care what philosophy you take up. Only I am ready to here prove here that throughout the world of India there runs a mutual and cordial string of eternal faith in the perfection of humanity, and I believe in it myself. And let that faith be spread over the land, over the whole land.